All right, moving on to this week's action, and we'll start things off with my game of the week, the Revivalry. No, we will not be calling it the Blue Bonnet Battle. Frogs looking to win. What is this? This will be 10 out of the last 11 or 9 out of the last 10. TCU has owned Baylor over the last decade. And frankly, the one loss that we had should have been a TCU victory because Max Duggan was in bounds. I will go to my grave saying that. But Baylor, both of these teams in an interesting position right here. Baylor's a 3-point favorite with good reason. The Bears have been surging, as have been the Frogs. This is going to be a night game, a little bit rainy in Waco, which does not bode super well for TCU's offense. Brittany, Brownie, what are we thinking about the Revivalry this year?
Why do you have the Hawkeyes on the screen?
Well, they're going to be wearing all black. They've already said it's going to be a blackout.
Yeah, I saw that, and I got
2014 team.
I got so triggered because Iowa Hawkeye fans always come after Cyclones about wearing like the black and the whites, but Baylor is out here wearing legitimately all black with just yellow. And this game is such a toss up to me. 3 points at home is typically just home field advantage yet again. I personally think it just all kind of comes down to your guys' quarterback play. Is it going to be Hoover or is it going to be, Robinson, right?
Well, we have Haas Haney's our true freshman that goes in for run packages sometimes. It's really been Hoover's job all season, but Hoover's been pressing a lot, to your point. I think that's one of the reasons why he's been ineffective in throwing a lot of interceptions for the last several weeks. But yeah, he really needs to settle in and just, in a game, if it's going to be this rainy, he really just needs to hope. We need to hope that the offensive line is capable of run blocking and that Savion Williams can hopefully take over this game out of the Wild Frog position.
I was going to say that Wild Frog is insane.
Yeah.
The amount of highlight plays that I've been seeing from that, I do think that Robinson for Baylor has also been fairly good. Pendergrass, I think, had a really good game against Okie State. Granted, it's Okie State, which everybody seems to be putting up serious numbers on. But I really do think it just goes down to who schemes better offensively in this. I think defensively, I think you guys are both kind of in the same place, especially talent-wise. And from what I've been seeing, at least from points and what I've been watching, I think both of your defenses are going to be on the same level. I just think it's going to be better on whose offense shows up. This is so hard. I can't root for Baylor. They're wearing Hawkeye colors. So I'll pick TCU on this one, man. TCU is winning straight up. Don't even give me the 3 points.
Okay. Brittany, what do you think about this game?
I'm basing it off of watching them both play Texas Tech the last 2 weeks. Baylor crushed them like a bug. TCU was losing by a lot and came back because Texas Tech just fell apart. So I'm going with Baylor, even though I would prefer the asteroid. Waffles is also picking Baylor because TCU threatened to eat him.
I need you to ruin the 2013-2014 national champion memorial that they're having going on during that
champion. I don't know about national champion. I don't know who said that. But yeah, we do need to ruin that. Absolutely.
The weirdo Baylor fans out there, they're claiming it just like UCF's title.
Yeah. Here's a fun wrinkle regarding that whole Baylor honoring their 2014 team. So yes, Baylor is honoring their 2014 team on the field during this game. 61-58 is basically the only good thing they've done against TCU in the last 20 years, right? Ruining our shot at getting into the playoffs when they go and poop the bed against West Virginia like 2 weeks later. But TCU declined to honor our 2014 team this past week against Texas Tech. This was a big to-do and a big controversy among all of these former players and Coach Patterson, who was also at the game against Texas Tech. Why they chose not to honor the 2014 team, I do not know. I very much do not agree with it. And I think it's absurd that a Baylor team that is still the perception around this Baylor team. It's all the rape scandal, right? It's all of that Bryles cover-up stuff. They're getting honored on the team, and yet the 2014 team for TCU, easily the best team in TCU history, not getting honored during a TCU game. And also, oh, by the way, yeah, TCU employs like 3 or 4 people from that Baylor staff. What is the world? It's crazy. I'll give y'all my, I don't think it's the mystery who I'm going to pick in this game. I'll give y'all my official score prediction at the end of the show, and we'll check in on this simulation and see if Baylor takes us to the woodshed according to College Football 25.
45-42, baby.
That's what it's looking like. Okay, next game. Let's talk about Texas Tech and Iowa State. Cyclones looking to remain undefeated, hosting reeling Texas Tech at home. 0-2 in the last 2 weeks. 14 points is a lot of points. I tend to like the Cyclones in this game just because, if we're looking at momentum, and Ames is a tough place to play. But what do you two think?
We had a great week of practice.
Yes. Tell everyone what you told me before the show started, Brandy.
So it was kind of funny because I was listening to Matt Campbell's presser, and Clinton and I used to always sit there and joke about, like, they'd always come out and be like, oh, we had a great week of practice, and then it would never come into the game or fruition or anything. And I just thought it was funny because Matt Campbell in his presser all of a sudden just randomly says, yeah, and we had a great week of practice. And I just sat there and I was like, oh man, Clint's gonna laugh at that one. In another thing that I did actually hear during Matt Campbell's presser was that we are getting a lot of our players that were on injury back. The 3 primary ones that we did have concerns and questions about when they're coming back was our 3 linebackers, Willich, McLaughlin, and Bacon. From the sounds of it, Willich and Bacon are going to potentially be back by December. Now, granted, when Matt Campbell says that they're going to be back by December, it probably means that they're missing. So get out the milk cartons. But he was fairly confident that McLaughlin is going to be coming back in a couple of weeks. Carson Hansen, who left after the first half of the UCF game and then was sporadically used in the second half, he's completely back and fully healthy. Ben Bramer, who left in the middle, I think, of the third quarter, that was sidelined and shown with a boot. MRIs and x-rays came back all positive. So he's without a boot and he's been doing side workouts. He hasn't been fully incorporated back into the offense, but it does sound like he's a day-to-day. And then the huge one, before I pick who is obviously going to win this, Morton is still questionable. Like, I just saw the report come out today that he is deemed questionable for this week. They did say that the structural integrity of his non-dominant shoulder is okay, so it won't necessarily affect his throwing capabilities. But it really leads a question on if he's still sore and he's still in a little bit of pain when he goes into the Iowa State game. Granted, Iowa State doesn't apply a lot of pressure to a quarterback, but for anybody who's had shoulder problems like myself, one weird hit or one weird fall can just shoot a stinger down your entire arm. So they could be back to square one. 14 points, again, extremely generous here. I do think that Texas Tech is going to keep it close. I don't see Iowa State covering 14 points, but I do see a Cyclone victory.
Brittany, you have former Cyclone allegiance. Okay, what's Waffles think?
He says the Cyclops clones are going down. It's revenge for the Patrick Mahomes game. The Red Raiders will be winning.
Appreciate the take, Waffles. Appreciate the take. Hey, if they really did have a great week in practice, then I think Waffles is probably right about that. If recent history is taught me anything.
Unfortunately, Waffles is a little optimistic and a little delusional. He still thinks they're going to the national championship, but you know what? I refuse to burst his bubble.
Good
He
mother.
used to throw up every single time Tech would win any sort of sporting event game. I have no idea what it was. Every single time they lost that night, he would throw up in the middle of the night. Baseball, basketball, football, didn't matter. Nothing
Dude.
changed during his day. He's on the same routine day after day, but Texas Tech lost, puked in the middle of the night. So
Rough.
I'm praying that Texas Tech wins, so he does not throw up.
You're going to be cleaning up a lot of puke, Brittany.
But in my opinion, I logistically think Iowa State should win. However, when I went to Iowa State, we were the 0-2 wins top school. And I also know that even the years we did well, every single time we'd get close to doing really, really well, we'd choke on something and ruin it for ourselves. Or bye weeks were never good. We'd come out of a bye week thinking we were all rested and then just looked horrific the next week. It's why I don't like bye weeks. Some people love them. For Iowa State, I don't particularly like them. If I say Iowa State's going to lose, 95% of Iowa State people that watch this are going to come for my head. So I'm not going to say that.
I already had the tweet written up.
I'm just going to say I'm cautiously optimistic that Iowa State will win.
Yeah. I mean, Iowa State should win. They should.
Should.
But, I mean, it's college football.
I've seen weirder things, man.
It's always when you assume that somebody should win that they don't. Like that this last weekend, I said Kansas State was going to beat Kansas by like 1 million. I didn't even know if Kansas was going to score. So the fact Kansas was winning for most of the game, that's what I mean. And to be fair too, Texas Tech only needs one more game to make a bowl. So it's a big deal for them.
Not making it.
I will say this in Tech's favor. I think his name's Will Hammond, the quarterback who came in after Baron Morton.
He was so good.
Looked
he did
great.
A good job.
Yeah, he's a good little quarterback, even though he's a freshman. And Tech just lost to the two teams other than Texas that they hate the most in the world, right? They are pissed off. They're ready to get this bad taste out of their mouth. What better opportunity to do it than to march up to Iowa State and ruin their perfect season? I mean, Tech is going to be motivated to play in this game. Taj Brooks is still Taj Brooks. Just because TCU's defense has improved slightly and was able to hold him to, I say only 121 on 30 carries, right? They're going to go to this Taj Brooks well. And, I mean, Iowa State's got a much better defense than TCU, but Taj Brooks can get loose. And let me say, I would not be Houston beats TCU level shocked if Texas Tech beat Iowa State this weekend. Let me just say that.
And I also thought I saw something earlier today that said Morton could be back as well. So
I don't know if I'd play him, to be honest with you.
I don't know if I'd play him.
I'd play Hammond at this point over him, but just the fact that they would have that option back if they so needed it is a big deal. You know, they're not stuck with a backup if that was a fluke for Hammond.
Personally speaking, I'd rest him against Iowa State, play Hammond until Hammond looks bad. Play him later in the game if stuff goes sideways. But, I mean, you're looking at Iowa State, Colorado, back-to-back weeks. Do you really want to risk one of your... I mean, I would still say Morton is still your better quarterback out of the two. But do you really want to risk your best quarterback? You're on 5 wins. Do you really want to risk potentially losing him for the rest of the season? And, I mean, I called this a couple weeks ago. Texas Tech isn't making a bowl game this season. And
they have one more win. One more win.
Iowa State, Colorado, Okie State, and West Virginia. The only ones I see them dropping is potentially Okie State and winning Okie State. But I don't know, man. I've seen crazier things. I'm still calling it 5-7.
Yeah, it's not a gimme schedule. You just said it there. OK State. You feel pretty good about OK State, right?
That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, they do have West Virginia at home. West Virginia's been on the downslide. So. But, yeah.
Depends if Neil Brown is gone before then.
going to be motivated going into this game.
Yeah.
All right. Houston. Can Houston continue the magic against Kansas State marching into town? The answer is no. They cannot. But let's talk about this game. Is Kansas State going to
I
cover the
hope
spread? What's gonna
so.
happen? Yeah, sure.
I hope so. Maybe not, probably not. But I also talked a little bit of crap about Kansas State not making it to the playoffs. So I need them to drop a win somewhere, drop a loss to a different team. So I'm hoping for the Cougs to come out and give me another gift.
It would be
Kansas State.
funny.
Yeah.
It'd be hilarious.
Unfortunately, Kansas State, I think, is going to murder Houston. I mean, Houston has been doing a whole lot better. I mean, when you look at their previous games, it seemed like after the first couple of weeks, they've definitely gotten their act together, both offensively and defensively, especially after that double shutout. You know, they went shutout against Cincinnati 34-0, and then they got shut out again to Iowa State 20-0. And then all of a sudden it was like something flipped against TCU, sorry. And then they fell right back into the plummet pit against Kansas. I would say that was probably the team everybody thought Kansas was supposed to be all season, was the game against Houston. And then they gave us the beautiful victory against Utah in the logo battle, which is what we are now officially calling this game. But
TM.
yeah. But I'm sorry. Kansas State is just Kansas State by a billion. I am 110% on that. I do not see, outside of like half of that offense going down with injuries, Houston having a chance.
Yeah.
As much as I would love for them to crush Kansas State's hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
See,
Willie
that's
Fritz
what I'm
has him going in
saying.
the right
I'm
direction.
hoping. I'm hoping. I'm not. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I'm hoping.
Yeah. Well, and then sometimes that's all we have.
Yeah. Kansas State is going to cover for sure, though.
Yeah. Willie Fritz has them going in the right direction, but are they going to beat Kansas State? I don't think so. I don't think there's any way that they do. Meanwhile, in our simulation, things are looking a smidge bleak here. TCU had negative offensive yards at the end of the first quarter, down 14-0. So
am I playing this game? Negative offense?
Yeah, right. All right, moving on to our next game. Arizona travels to UCF. Arizona, man, that's a team on the struggle bus. I am reminded of my Arizona State offseason show where my two guests assured me that Arizona was going to fall apart this year, and lo and behold, they have. UCF is not in a great spot. They're not doing well, but I kind of like them in this game. I kind of like this touchdown favorite. Give me the Knights. What do y'all think?
I also like UCF. I've been waiting for them to beat a team that they shouldn't beat, and have kind of been disappointed that they really haven't yet. I think that this is their chance to beat a team that did well towards the beginning.
If UCF loses this game, I think that's it for Gus Malzahn. I really do. I think that it's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Arizona does not look good. Fafita, for all of the preseason hype of being the quote-unquote best quarterback in the Big 12, has definitely not been playing up to the hype. I mean, when you even look at some of these numbers, he's got Alan Bowman numbers. And Bowman is on the struggle bus. So, I mean...
Get a real job, Alan Bowman. Hashtag get a real job.
Yeah, him and Cam Rising should start an insurance.
Yeah.
Indeed.com.
The Rising Bowman Insurance Company. I'm trademarking that.
Yeah.
But no, I see UCF winning this. If you really look at their stats, Fafita basically targets nothing but McMillan. You can play a corner safety high on that side of the field the entire time. You can double team them. UCF's defense obviously is decent enough, I would say. they've had some late game mishaps. Do I think that they should have fired the defensive coordinator? I don't think so. But I mean, Gus does what Gus wants at this point, and if he wants to save his job, brother needs to call an immaculate game against Arizona.
Mm.
So, I mean, I have UCF winning it. I don't think it's going to be by a touchdown. I think it's going to be a lot closer than that. But Bounce House Magic is going to strike again because isn't this week their Space U, right? Or is that
Oh,
next?
I believe it is. I believe it is. Yeah.
I think they've only lost like 1 or 2 games while wearing Space U jerseys. So, record is on their side.
Also, UCF has a dog. I think it's the equipment manager or something that has the dogs.
It really is a toss up, but again, I
So
think UCF pulls it out. Space U, baby.
Well, and I mean, UCF is a much better team at home. And
Mhm.
again, this is where travel's coming into play, right? Arizona, who I'm 99% sure is on California time right now, is going
Yes.
all the freaking way to Orlando to play a game, right? And that is people don't
And it's at
realize.
2:30. That's an early
Yeah,
game.
yeah, it's at 2:30. But so yeah, so if you're on California time, 2:30 is going to feel like what is that noon? What 3 hours?
11:30, noon. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, and what's also weird, guys, is the state of Arizona does not celebrate daylight savings time at all. Although
yeah.
I think it's this
Yeah.
upcoming Sunday that changed. So maybe it won't affect them from this week, but it'll affect them for the following week, wherever they're going if they have an away game. Because they don't celebrate it, but it's gonna be like a 2-hour difference then for them anywhere they go.
Yeah. But I mean, people don't realize, like, when I was living in California, how big of a difference just even a 2 hour difference makes, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You're at a whole different part of the day, right? Yeah, and if they're on West Coast time, which I'm not sure if they are or aren't, but
They
then that's a
are.
3 hour difference, right? If they're
Yeah.
currently on West Coast time. So yeah, tough situation for the Wildcats. I don't see them pulling it out. Elsewhere in Arizona, the Arizona State Sun Devils, in the midst of a great season, on their way to Stillwater. They are 3-point favorites against Oklahoma State. It is a night game, but man alive, Alan Bowman is a mess. And I fear that Mike Gundy has lost that locker room. Give me the Sun Devils. They're not as good on the road as they are at home, but I think they can beat Oklahoma State in this game. What do y'all think?
Only 3 points? Are you kidding me?
Mm.
ASU by a milli. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but I tweeted a picture of my horse the other day that had its hair that looked like Mike Gundy. And I said that my horse should replace Casey Dunn. My horse had a
You'd
mullet.
probably be more qualified.
Some days, yeah.
So I'm going with ASU.
Yeah. I mean, Okie State's defense is. Can we call them the worst defense in the Big 12? Like,
They're
is
They're
that
certainly
just the
playing like
worst
it.
in the Big 12 right now.
It's awful. Like, they can't tackle. They give up extremely quickly on plays. People that you think would get the sure tackle at the beginning, especially on running backs, they just break loose all of a sudden, and nobody's there to back it up. Um, I again think Alan Bowman is in a terrible place right now. He definitely should not have come back for another year. He should have just called it quits after being sidelined at Michigan. Um, and I really don't think that this Okie State team is gonna be able to stop Scadaboo. Like, you're gonna tell me that you're gonna be able to stop a 235-pound tank coming at you? And
Mm.
not happening. You can't even
Yeah.
stop BYU from going, what, 85 yards in like 45 seconds? Mm-mm.
I mean, you act
Yeah.
like BYU's not great, though. Let's
It-
be honest.
Also valid, but how many tackles did Okie State miss on just that drive alone? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It.
Shoot, just the last play.
Oh my god, that last play drove me bananas. Still not kneeling it down after getting that first down still irritates me, which is why Arizona State is going to absolutely destroy them.
Mm. Yeah. Oklahoma State's in the same situation that TCU was in a few years back. At what point do you look at your legendary head coach and say, it's not working anymore? We got to move on. We got to do something different, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because
It's
everybody
getting
was
closer,
so
man.
high on Oklahoma State going into the season, and with good reason. You've got 20 of 22 starters back. You've got an experienced offensive line. You've got arguably the best running back in the Big 12, maybe even in the nation, right? And a seventh-year quarterback, and what should have been a much better defense. What is the disconnect? What is going wrong? I mean, at a certain
Well, didn't
point,
you hear? He blames the NIL.
well, and that's
I
another
had
problem, right? That's another problem that
I
he can't
I
adapt to that.
I
Right?
picked Texas Tech to make the championship game before the season, and I had a bunch of Oklahoma State people tell me I was delusional and that there was no way that Texas Tech did better than Oklahoma State. Yeah, Texas Tech's probably not going to make the championship, but they're doing a hell of a lot better than Oklahoma State is.
Mhm.
Especially right now. I definitely did not have it on my bingo card that Okie State was going to be the doormat at the Big 12. I
No,
don't think a lot of
we
people did.
thought them, Utah, and Kansas State, and then Kansas were, and a lot of
Yeah.
people had Texas Tech just because they had a decently easy schedule.
Yeah, Kansas was my dark horse. I thought it was going to be Kansas and Oklahoma State. Shows what I know.
I
Right?
mean, I had the exact same picks.
I had Utah and Texas Tech, and I had
Yeah.
Utah going undefeated.
Yeah. Thankfully, you were wrong about that.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
No
you were
kidding.
wrong.
But they gave him a cakewalk of a schedule.
Yeah, they did. They did. All right. Before we get to my prediction, my official prediction for the TCU Baylor game, y'all, I want to make you aware of Mark Rogers' book that is now available on Amazon. Disputed National Champions: College Football's Historic 1990s Reset dives deep into the chaotic world of college football championship decisions during the 1990s. For those of you who weren't around back then, we didn't used to always have national championship games. We didn't really get a national championship game until 1998, and before then, just kind of picked who looked the best. This pivotal decade reshaped the sport in unprecedented ways, leaving fans and experts alike questioning the system and legitimacy of crowned champions. Disputed National Champions also takes the outcomes of the decade and projects those results into the BCS and various playoff models in the future. That's a fun thought exercise there to think about if a lot of those great mid 90s and early 90s teams, like look at Colorado, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech,
Nebraska.
Miami in like 1990, if they had been in a playoff, be very, very interesting. So do check out Mark Rogers' new book. It's on Amazon right now for your reading pleasure. So let's see what College Football 25 is doing to see if we're still beefing over here. Yeah, we are. Screw you, College Football 25, you bunch of jabronis. Okay, they're not high on the frogs.
It's because they don't have the hypno formation.
Yes, well, yeah, we don't have Wild Frog. Hey, and that's another thing. Hypnotoad made his first appearance on the scoreboard at Amon Carter Stadium during the fourth quarter of that Tech game. Are you all right? My dog is coughing. Hypnotoad made an appearance on the scoreboard late in that Tech game. First he's made, I believe, all season, and the fans went nuts, and that really injected TCU with a lot of energy there for that last drive when Will Hammond fumbled. So, Hypnotoad magic, maybe it's back. Last time we were in Waco, it was Hypnotoad in a hurry, that iconic walk-off bazooka field goal. Hopefully we don't need one of those again. I don't know. I'm a vibes guy. You know this, right? And I feel like the vibes are back with TCU, gutting out wins late in the games. Just need the offense to hit its stride again. Savion Williams keep running the ball, and Josh Hoover not to make too many mistakes, particularly if it's raining. I like the Frogs, especially if it's raining. I don't think it's going to get very pointsy. Give me 23-21 TCU. 23-21 TCU.
And Clint, does that involve just a little bit of TCU fan bias?
I've never once injected TCU fan bias into my analysis. How dare you suggest such a thing? Of course it's biased. Of course it's biased. Come on, man. I've never picked Baylor in my life, and I'm not starting right now. Okay. I picked TCU to lose to Utah. I picked TCU to lose other games. I'm not picking them to lose to Baylor. It ain't happening.